It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done a book talk, and I felt like it was time to talk about a book that I finished this morning. Let's start by just telling you what the book is. Let's get there. So, the book I'm talking about today is Accountable: The True Story. There's a long subtitle: The True Story of a Racist Social Media Account and the Teenagers Whose Lives It Changed, by Dashka Slater. Now, I'm not going to lie, the subtitle is either going to make you want to read it or make you be like, I'm out. But I'll tell you what, it's a good book. I got this book. Actually, a friend of mine got this book and then gave it to me at the Texas Librarians Association conference as a. This is an ARC, so it's an advanced reader's copy. Um, Last year, the year before, um, I didn't pick it up because it's not. It's not. I'm an elementary librarian. This is not a book we would have in an elementary library. But I had previously read Dashka Slater's other book, other nonfiction book. It was an award winner. It was a book that was part of. It was well. Let's just stop with that. It was an award winner called the 57 Bus, and it was a very well written, powerful, thoughtful, complicated book that dealt with a very difficult real life account. And so I thought this is probably going to be as good as that. And I don't know if I was going to compare the two, which I would say was better. They're about very different things. And for that reason, I feel like it's very difficult to compare the two. But I want to talk about this one. So this story takes place. This is based on a real story. This is journalism. It's not fiction. It's nonfiction. Takes place at a school in Albany, California, and essentially the story follows a bunch of kids. Um, and what happens is uh, a couple of kids start a social media account. Really, one guy starts it at the sort of egging on of one of his friends, and it is a private Instagram account that he creates memes and jokes on that he knows are risque, rough. They are racist jokes, and there is no sugarcoating the memes and the comments and the jokes that are in here. Some of them can't even be labeled as jokes. They're just outright offensive, horrific content. There's no there's no nudity. There's no graphic violence, although there is violence and there's violence implied in some of them. But they are racist memes. And as is often the case with this sort of social media account, even though it was private, it was shared with a handful of people, about 10, 11 people. And word got out to a couple of young ladies that they were referenced or that some of the memes were directed at them. So these young women of color began sort of connecting with one another, and one of the guys who's friends with one of the girls who was addressed, he shows her the memes, and that is the beginning of this really nightmare of a scenario where 11 kids end up getting like suspended or expelled. A number of kids are deeply fearful for their lives after seeing some of the memes. Deeply wounded, deeply hurt. Everyone's life is turned upside down, and it deals with here's what I love about the book. It's a very like dark issue, right? And it's very easy to, and this is sort of the way it was with the 57 bus as well. It's very easy to say, here's where the blame lies, and it's not wrong to say that. But it is interesting to sort of ask the question, like, how did we get here? What led to these people posting these memes? And then what was the response to that? And was the response good or bad or other? And so as a result of this getting out, the school district's got to deal with that. And I'll tell you, as someone that's taught junior high and taught high school, and now I'm an elementary school librarian, um, the things that happen on social media and the internet away from school are affecting school so much more than you would ever believe. Um, and so you have this school that's left to deal with this. Like, how do we handle this sort of threatening social media posts that this student posted outside of school on his own personal account that was private, that that person was not intended to see, but nonetheless did see? And now you have this disruption, this sort of hullabaloo where everyone is reacting in some way, and the parents are reacting. And as a parent, um, when your kid does something that you know is like, heinous, what do you do? What do you do? Because people automatically assume that it's your fault as the parent. They got this from home, right? So how do you handle that? How do you approach that? And when it's kids that are doing the wrong, kids that are doing this really awful thing, like, how do we address that from a behavioral standpoint? How do we address that with consequences? Do kids get another chance? Because they are just kids, and they're not, kids are not always known for making the best choices. And so this book really makes you think about a lot of issues. It makes you think about racism. It makes you think about social media and the internet and the way that we communicate through that. It makes you think about the sort of the politics of popularity in school. It makes you think about the way we grow our friendships and develop our relationships in school. It makes you think about the way school districts have to respond to this stuff. It makes you think about cancel culture, because in some ways these kids are then like canceled and their lives are ruined, some of them, at such an early age. And then how do you go forward when you're 17 years old and you've maybe already ruined your life? How do you go forward with that? It deals with mental health. It deals with a lot of really difficult issues. I can't recommend this book enough. It's complex. I think there will be times where everyone, no matter where you stand on the sort of political spectrum, will look at this and be like, frustrated and like see how things are always more complex than we make them. People are more complex than we see them as, and maybe we need to find a way to communicate and contemplate and deal with those things in a more complex way. So I want to encourage you to pick up Accountable by Dashka Slater. It is a fantastic book that will really get you thinking.